Um, this was, I believe, $100 tournament. Could have been 60, but I think 100. On Poker Stars recently. So let's review the players. I don't really recognize anyone here. The only guy I recognize is this guy Golem, um, and I don't recall anything offhand about him. I'm sure I've got some sort of notes or something on him, um, but I don't really recognize anyone at the table, so that's good. I always like that. So let's get started here. 5-3 offsuit in the big blind. Obviously, that's a pretty easy fold, especially against an early position raiser. Alright, so here it looks like I decided to make it 225 pre-flop. I'm not really sure why I did that. It looks I had to have had some sort of notes on this guy here, or he had to have had really extremely active numbers. Because generally this is a hand that you would just put down pre-flop against after somebody else opens. So the fact I made it 225 here is a little bit unusual, but um, the only thing I can think is that he had to have had like some sort of numbers where he's, maybe raising, 30 or 40 or 50% of his hands. That's the only thing, because really, um, you should really only be doing that against people who are just playing a lot of hands. Um, against anybody else, you should put that down. All right, so this all looks pretty standard here. Um, the only thing that maybe I would have done differently if I was this guy is I think he could have made it, 395 or something like that, and given this guy a chance to shove all in with hands like, pocket eights or nines or something. I don't think just shoving all in is that great. I mean, it's fine. It's a play that you'll have a positive expectation on, but you always want to play your hands in the most optimal way possible. And I think that raising to like 395 or something is a little bit better. Give him a chance to shove all in with something worse. And the other thing too is if you ever do have a dynamic going with other people where they're three betting you often or something, it gives you a chance to disguise both your strong hands and your hands that aren't that strong. So I really just don't like the shove, but I just think that there's a better way to play it. Um, as far as calling with the queens, against this guy, I would probably call with that too. Against a lot of regs, you should generally only be calling with like, aces and kings and maybe ace king sometimes, especially if it's suited. Um, the reason I say that if it's suited, let's cover something real quick. If you have a hand like, let's say, pocket tens or pocket queens against ace king, they call it a coin flip, but it's actually not. Your queens are closer to about 55%, and if you have a hand like pocket twos against ace king, it's closer to like 51 or 52%. So even though it sounds like it's a small difference, though, um, you know, basically because of the ICM aspect of tournaments, and if you don't know what that is, you should probably go on the internet and look that up. But um, basically, um, it's Oh, it's an awful lot better to be closer to about 55% if you're gonna get all in than 50% or 51%. So having that extra few percentage points really helps. So I think so. Oh yeah. So what I was gonna say was that if you've got a hand like Ace King suited though, and you're up against a hand like Pocket Queens, you're a lot closer to being 50-50 if you are up against Pocket Queens. But if it's Ace King offsuit, you're closer to about 45% or so, and then getting all in is really not that great. So, um, but here, against a player like this, though, I would fully expect him to often have, tens or jacks or maybe even ace queen or ace jack or something like that. So I think calling with the queens is perfectly fine. Against a good player, though, I would probably put it down. Um, but here, I think it's a pretty standard call. So that looks pretty standard to me for both of them.